Arguably one of the most tragic characters in the DC animated universe is Ace from the Royal Flush Gang. She could warp reality, break minds, and bring the world to its knees, but she never got to choose what to do with that power. Her story in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited is less about what she can do and more about what's done to her, and in the end, the way Batman responds to that truth gives us one of the most defining moments of his character. To understand why this moment is so significant, you have to look at what Ace started out as in the comics and how little they mattered before this version. Ace and the rest of the Royal Flush Gang first appeared in Justice League of America number 43, published in 1966. Initially, they were little more than a themed criminal outfit led by the luck-obsessed Amos Fortune, with each member adopting a playing card identity. Later iterations experimented with different suits and lineups, added powers, costumes, and backstories, but the core idea remained the same. A stylized gang built around a visual motif rather than a unifying emotional core. And to be frank, the character of Ace is usually one of the least interesting members. More often than not, he is a powerhouse, and sometimes a robot, who seems to be near the bottom of the pecking order. This changed when the Royal Flush Gang was first adapted for the screen in The Super Friends. Ace was the mysterious founder of the group, and he turned out to be the Joker working for Darkseid for some reason. This was an interesting twist, and it makes sense given that the Joker is a form of a playing card. This also explains why Joker was so central to their formation in the DC animated universe. While he did bring the group together, he wasn't one of them, despite his claims to the contrary. And what's most important is that this DC Animated Universe version of the team would change Ace entirely. When the gang appears in Justice League, they are reimagined as a group of metahuman children, exploited and weaponized by the government. No longer a costume theme, the playing card identities become imposed roles, identities forced upon them by the Joker, who sees them as his tools. He tells them that he's liberating them and calls himself their kindly Uncle Jay, framing them as a found family. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Joker stumbled across them while stealing from the governmental facility, and saw the opportunity to corrupt and use them, turning their powers against the world. This version is actually far sadder because they are children who were never given a choice in life. As soon as their powers manifested, the government swooped in to take them away, and then the Joker came and moved them to what is essentially a bigger cage. And at the center of them all is Ace. Ace is introduced as the most dangerous member of the gang, a psychic capable of warping perception and breaking minds. She is so powerful and frankly weird that even the other gang members steer clear of her. But to Joker, she's his favorite. She's central to his scheme in the episode Wildcards. Joker plants dozens of bombs across Las Vegas and challenges the Justice League to disarm them all. He has televised the event, and it's all very dramatic with bright lights, ticking clocks, Las Vegas in chaos. It's exactly the kind of stage you would expect the Joker to build for himself. Within that performance, the Royal Flush Gang appear to be his enforcers. King, Queen, Jack, and Ten are deployed across the city, facing the League in a series of scattered battles designed to slow them down. But it's all a distraction. Joker wanted to create a must-see television event so that the whole world would witness him pulling an ace from his sleeve, both figuratively and literally. Ace had remained at the Joker's side, removed from the battlefield, watching events unfold rather than participating in them. The rest of the gang are active pieces in the game, but Ace is being held back for a more sinister purpose. Joker intends to use Ace's abilities, psychic projections capable of warping perception and driving people insane, and then transmit them through eye contact, and yes, it even works indirectly through television. With millions of people, potentially billions, now watching, transfixed by the unfolding crisis, Joker has engineered the perfect delivery system for scarring humanity forever. And that's the joke. The Royal Flush Gang were never the threat, they were the distraction. The bombs were never the weapon, they were the bait. Ace, meanwhile, is both. What makes this revelation land is the way Joker presents himself throughout. He positions himself as her rescuer, the one who freed her from government captivity, who gave her a place, a role, and a sense of belonging. There's a performative warmth to it and a suggestion of care, but we know that's a lie. He speaks around her rather than to her, treats her less like a person and more like a prized exhibit. Even his fascination feels distant and clinical in its own way. He is captivated by what she can do, not who she is. The government had controlled her with machines, but the Joker does so with his smile. The illusion collapses entirely when Batman arrives, though. Batman reveals that Joker had been carrying around the same control device used on her by the government, a headband designed to suppress her powers, and he planned to use it on her once he was done. In an instant, the narrative Joker has built falls apart. He didn't save Ace, he replaced her previous handlers. The setting changed, the tone shifted from sterile to theatrical, but the underlying reality remained exactly the same. She was never free, her cage just got bigger. Ace's response is immediate. She had a mostly vacant expression on her face for most of the episode, but now she's angry and she turns her power on Joker, driving him into the very madness he intended to inflict on the world. And this reveals something about the Joker. He has always been treated as someone that is insane, and he claims that Ace's powers would make people like him, but the reality is he is not insane, he's just evil. If he were genuinely insane, Ace's powers would have little or no effect on him, but she renders him comatose with a glance. It's a moment of poetic symmetry as Ace claims her freedom, but there is no victory here. She thought she had finally found a family, but the illusion is shattered and she wants nothing else to do with them. So she makes her own choice for the first time in her life and simply walks away. And that's the sad thing about this version of the Royal Flush Gang. They are all children that were treated as weapons, first by the state, then by the Joker, and their identities were reduced to roles in someone else's design. But Ace stands apart from that. She isn't just another card in the deck. She is the reason the deck exists at all. Everything in the episode bends around her, and when she finally steps away from it, the entire structure collapses like a house of cards. After that, Ace vanishes until the flashback scene from the Justice League Unlimited episode Epilogue. When the Batman of the future, Terry McGinnis, tracks down Amanda Waller to hear about her role in his origins, she tells him about a time where Batman showed her why his existence was so necessary. In the present day, Ace has formed her own version of the Royal Flush Gang, giving powers to strangers in an attempt to build her own family. But once they got their abilities, they showed little interest in spending time with her. Since we last saw her, her powers have grown to the point where she can actually alter reality. So she builds herself a fortress and hides away from the world. To complicate matters, her powers are so vast that she can barely contain them, and she's on the verge of an aneurysm that will release a powerful psychic blast that will doubtlessly kill thousands. To Waller, the answer is simple. Someone needs to get in there and kill her before she accidentally kills everyone around her. Hawkgirl volunteers, but Batman intervenes. He knows Ace. She will let him get close, and he will get the job done. But Batman's definition of doing the job is very different to what Waller had in mind. He had no intention of killing her, and he knew that Hawkgirl would do it for the greater good. So Batman was correct. Ace is fully aware of the situation, and she knew that Waller wanted to kill her and why. But, crucially, she knew that Batman would never do it. Instead, he sat with her and held her hand, comforting her until she died. Ace would likely never intentionally harm anyone, but with that act of mercy she was persuaded to put things back to normal to prevent the blast, and she died peacefully in Batman's arms. There's an irony here in that she had always been treated as a weapon, but when the time came for her to really become one, she made her final choice. She held back and showed restraint. It would have been easy for her to go out with a bang to get revenge on the world that had done her wrong, but that isn't who she was. She had been dealt a bad hand, but Batman made sure she didn't have to play it alone. At the same time, it's clear that Ace's death had an impact on Batman. Years later, in Batman Beyond, Bruce Wayne names his new dog Ace. On the surface, it's a simple callback to the Silver Age Bat-Hound, but in light of Epilogue, choosing that name for his dog is an act of remembrance. Like the girl, the dog had had a hard life and was treated as a commodity by cruel and heartless people. When the dog broke free, it stumbled upon Bruce Wayne being accosted by a Joker while he was trying to mourn his parents. The dog intervened and was injured in the process. To Bruce, this dog was another damaged creature, another life shaped by cruelty and circumstance. Like himself, like the Robins, like the girl he gets his name from. And once again, Bruce takes him in and tries to make things better. This is the pattern that defines him. The Robins, Ace of the Royal Flush Gang, Ace the dog. They're all different lives, different circumstances, sure, but it's the same instinct, to take in the wounded and offer them something better. Granted, it's not a perfect life, but it's a way out from the misery that has defined them until that point, and it's all part of Batman's lifelong mission to make the world a better place, one person at a time. Ultimately, the name Ace comes to represent a promise. Batman's refusal to let people's lives be reduced to what was done to them. It acts as a way of carrying her forward and honouring her memory, because in the end, Batman doesn't just fight monsters, he takes them in. Okay, that's it for this essay. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about me. You know how YouTube works. If you really liked the video and feel like tossing a buck or two my way, please consider using the thanks button, because every little helps. And if you have really enjoyed my work, you might want to pick up a copy of my book, Rogues Gallery. It features 22 essays on villains from Batman the Animated Series. There's a beautiful cover by Batman the Animated Series background artist John Calmette, a foreword by director Dan Reber, and a moving segment from the late Kevin Conroy sharing his thoughts on life, love, and loss. Plus, an exclusive essay on the Condiment King that will never be made into a video. Rogues Gallery is available worldwide on Amazon, both digitally and in softcover. Finally, channel memberships are just $1.99 a month and give you early access to my essays, custom emojis, and your name featured on my members end screen, which has been rolling for a little while now. Huge thanks to everyone who's already part of this. You've helped to make these videos possible. If you want to see your name up here too, join the channel now. And while I have your attention, please consider checking out my other channel, Serum Lake Comics, where I talk about mostly DC comic books. Next time, when I return on Monday, it'll be time to return to my Batman the Brave and the Bold character poll to talk about a supernatural villain, Jim Craddock, the Gentleman Ghost. And next Friday, we're going to discuss an original villain made for the Batman, who shows that sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. Yes, I'm going to talk about Everywhere Man. Hope to see you then.